So I had a plan for this morning, and what I want to do this morning, obviously we are getting towards the end of the year. I'm convinced of this, that once Thanksgiving kicks in, the year has ended, and so that happens on Thursday. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's my holiday spirit, but I'm getting into it, Jolly, I'm getting there. So what I thought I wanted to do this morning was just give a quick overview of this last year, this 2025, and just speak a little bit of vision and what we believe God is wanting to do for us in 2026. So we had a team leaders meeting, I believe it was, a couple of weeks back, and we asked the team leaders, we pulled out a whiteboard, and we asked the team leaders, just give us one word that represented this year, one word of what you think God did, one word that marked this year for you. And so there were some amazing things that came out. These were just a few of the words that our leaders said, felt like we marked, that marked 2025. Redeemed. Isn't that amazing? God redeemed. His presence came through in a lot of different ways, but just His presence, how we've experienced His presence in 2025, His provision, that we are united, growth, and I think numerical growth and personal growth, how God protected us this year, how He enlarged us, how He strengthened us. And then again, this one word, alive. You know, we had a guest, first-time visitor come through last week, and when Sandy connected with him afterwards, he just said, man, this church is so alive, you know, and I just love that. It's like it's the life of God, you know. Joel reminds me that I always say this, man, we cannot create Holy Spirit momentum. We cannot. There's nothing that we can do. Church has tried with strobe lights and smoke machines and pushing people over. We can't do it. We cannot in any way create one spark of the genuine, authentic presence of God. But we sure can mess it up. But this church is alive. We're sensing the presence of God. I felt it this morning, right from the first song. That's why I said what I said. We don't have to wait 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We don't have to wait. God's presence is here. As the first strum of that guitar, man, we are in the presence of God. I want to say this year has been the most remarkable year. It's been an intense year. It's been a God-shaped year. I really do believe that. I think it's been full of God-shaped surprises. And I think it's been the most incredible year we've had in our short history as a local church. Go with me in Matthew chapter 9, if you've got a Bible. Matthew chapter 9. Just going to read a few verses, and then we're going to lean into some stuff. Are you doing okay? Come on, we're going to have fun this morning. Don't get serious with me yet. Okay, Matthew 9, verse 14. Then John's disciples came and asked him, how is it that the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast? And Jesus answered, how can the guests of the bridegroom mourn while he is still with them? The time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them. Then they will fast. And then he goes on to say, verse 16, no one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch will pull away from the garment, making the tear worse. Neither do men pour new wine into old wineskins. If they do, the skin will burst, the wine will run out, and the wineskin will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins, and both are preserved. Now, we're just going to touch on a few things here real quick. This is a religious question, right? John's disciples came and asked Jesus, how is it that the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast? They're trying to drag Jesus back into religion. There's rules. How come your disciples break the rules? And Jesus answers with relationship. I'm still here. The bridegroom is still here. This is about relationship with me, not about following rules. And then he goes on to explain exactly what he said by saying this. There is new wine, new wineskins for new wine. Right? New wineskins for new wine. Now, I want to say this. 25 years ago, we arrived in America. I know you don't think that by my accent. You think I got off the boat this morning. But 25 years ago, we arrived in this great nation. We took over a little church in Los Angeles that had suffered some shock and trauma over years and years. And church was we had our own building, but the church was just in a state of disrepair. The carpets were threadbare and filthy. I don't want to go into all of the details, but there was this prophetic word. We had a bunch of pastors that related with us that Jude is talking about, a bunch of guys that partner with New Covenant Ministries, and these guys came in to do a prayer meeting for us in this venue as we were trying to launch out and reach this inner city that we were in. And one of the ladies, who is quite remarkable prophetically, she said this, and it's one of the most, for me, disturbing and gross prophetic words I've ever experienced. And she said this, she said, I saw the wine of God poured out on the carpet. Now, like I said, that carpet was filthy and threadbare and gross. And she said, I saw the wine of God poured out on the carpet and God's people down on their hands and knees like dogs trying to suck the wine out of the carpet. So let's just slow down a minute, because the wine represents the presence of God, right? And the purpose, therefore, of the wine skin is to get the wine to the people of God, yeah, undiluted, uncontaminated, pure and powerful. That's the point of the wine skin, right? Get my presence to my people. And we can talk about a lot of what the wineskin is. It's our leadership structure. It's our vision and values. It's how we do things. It's our heart. It's our culture. All of those things become part of the wineskin. And all of them have to serve this one single purpose of getting the presence of God to God's people. Getting God's people into the presence of God. Are you doing okay? And when it's wrong, we get that. We get God's people licking and trying to get stuff off the floor and trying to find their own way to get the presence of God. Are you doing okay? That was the most graphic example and the most gross example I have ever heard or seen about what happens when the wineskin is destroyed, when the wineskin isn't in place. God's people are left like dogs trying to lick the scraps off the carpet. Horrible, horrible, grotesque. I'm sorry I had to tell you that this morning. Yeah? Here's the thing. New wineskin for new wine. New wine for new wineskins. Here's the thing. God is always doing something fresh. Are you doing okay? God doesn't recycle. We should. It's good for the planet. But God doesn't. God doesn't recycle. And I'm telling you now, for us, Redemption City Church, what worked for us in 2025 might not be what works for us in 2026. Now, let me tell you, if you're sitting here this morning, that's a word for you too. What worked for you in 2025 might not work for you in 2026. Because if God is going to do a new thing, He's going to do it through new methods, new strategies, new ways. Right? God is not about the rules. How do your people fast? Why don't they fast? And He's like, I'm still here. And God is still here. The presence of God is here. We don't need to obey the rules. We need to hear His voice. That's good for us as a local church, and that's good for us as individuals. God, what are you saying for next year? What are you saying to me for next year? What are you saying to us collectively? What is the collective yes that we need to keep putting on the table, Redemption City Church? Are you doing okay? So if that is true, then God invites us to stay flexible so we can carry what it is He is pouring out. God invites us to stay flexible so that we can continue to carry what He is pouring out. Stop writing for a minute, look up. This is going to be important. This is going to be important. Spiritual maturity is not spiritual stubbornness. Sometimes we get so mature, like I've got all this down, and we get stuck in our ways. And then when God tries to break something, and we're like, no, that can't be. The whole nation of Israel missed Jesus because they were stuck in their ways. They wanted a king, and He came as a baby, and they missed it. Right? Are you doing okay? And we can miss it because we're stuck in our ways. We can miss it. Stubbornness is not a spiritual gift. Being stuck in the mud is not a spiritual gift. Gee, it's just the three of us here, eh? Sarah, me, and Joel. It's okay. The rest of you like, nah, this hurts too much. But it's okay, we'll get you. But are you doing, we're just having fun this morning. Are you doing all right? Are you doing all right? We can't be stuck in our ways, and we can't be stubborn. And we can't be like, this is the way God's always done it, because that might not be the way He's doing it next year. New wine for new wineskin for new wine. Are you doing okay? The truth doesn't change. The gospel doesn't change. The Bible doesn't change. But sometimes the way God interweaves those things and asks us to work our way through those things can definitely change. Are you doing okay? Yeah. Was that okay? Was that a good introduction? God's plans can adjust for new seasons. And as Joel always reminds us, new seasons, new fruit. Yeah? Who's ready for some new fruit next year? Personally, me. I'm saying, yes, Lord, I need some more fruit in my life. I've made 62 trips around the sun. I'm not done yet. Got a few more laps to go. And on every lap, I want new fruit. Are you doing okay? For us as a church, new fruit. New fruit. What else do we want to see in the life of the church? We want to see more people saved. We want to see more marriages put back together. We want to see the hearts of fathers turn back towards their sons and the hearts of sons turn back towards their fathers. We want to see healing and wholeness, physical healing that Jude was talking about. We want to see all of those things, and we want to see them more, and we want to see them at a greater level. New fruit for a new season. We want to see new leaders. We've got new battles to fight. We've got new directions to go in. We've got new opportunities to explore. We've got new soil. Who said seed and soil? Where was that? Oh, Jason prayed that, right? Jason prayed over the new members. It's new seed in new soil. And if we can stay like that, if we can stay responsive to what God wants to do, man, next year is going to be an absolutely incredible year. When 10 years ago, I've got so much to say. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Ty and Nicole, where are they this weekend? I know they're ministering somewhere, but where? California. Upward Call. Oh, great. That's why I text Darren and he didn't text me back. Your dad's keeping him busy. They're ministering at Upward Call. Again, a church that was planted out of this church into California. And Ty always reminds us, when God spoke to him about coming to America to plant this church here in Denver, this was the word that God gave Ty. Will you come and join me in what I'm doing in Denver? Now that is very, very critically important for us this morning. Will you come and be part of what I'm doing in Denver? God never said, will you come and do something in Denver? And there's a complete difference to that. Will you come and be part of something I'm doing? That's a different thing. You're already doing it. Yes, Lord, we want to jump in and partner with you. Dudley, the boy's grandpa, always used to tell us this. We spend our lives making our plans, and then we spend our lives praying that God will bless it. All we should be doing is asking God, what are you doing? Do that thing, and it will already be blessed. Not that hard. But 10 years ago, when Ty handed over to me and sandals, this was the thing that God woke me up with. Literally the day of the handover, the day we were going to show up in this building, hands were going to be laid on us. Okay, you guys are now leading the church. That morning, God asked me this question: will you allow me to show you what I can do through a church that truly loves broken people? Now, do you need me to say that again? Will you allow me to show you what I can do through a church that truly loves broken people? Now, just think about the similarities of that, right? Ty, will you come and be part of what I'm doing in Denver? What I'm doing? TK, will you allow me to show you what I can do? Does that make sense? God's hand is on this. God's hand is on this. Has been right from the beginning. Can you come and partner with me? Can you come and participate with me? Can you come jump in the mission with me? Can you come jump in the vision with me? That's the question. That was Ty's question. That was my question. I'm doing it. Would you like to be part of it? Yes, Lord. Are you doing okay? That question for us has become a calling. That calling is shaping our culture. And that culture is starting to bear supernatural fruit in the life of this church. Are you doing okay? Our mission statement reads like this: a Christ-centered, gospel-saturated church on mission together. Now we can break those things down. Christ-centered. Christ is the central personality of this church. This church will never be built around a celebrity preacher or rock star worship leaders, a brand or anything else. This church will be focused and have Christ as the central personality, the central truth, the central focus. Are you doing okay? We are gospel saturated. What does that mean? It means everything we do is saturated with the love, the mercy, and the grace of the gospel. We're a church. We're not a crowd. It's easy to draw a crowd. What we did this morning was add to the church. Are you doing okay? We're not a crowd. You just have to hire the right guest speaker and you can have a crowd. It doesn't mean you've got a church. Sorry, I apologize if that was hurtful. We're a church. We are on mission together. We're not a happy little huddle. If you're looking for a happy little church, we'll try and help you find it. But this is never going to be a happy little church. It never will. Why? Because we're on mission together. Right? And I'm telling you, I hope we're happy. I can't even remember when last I was happy. I tell Sally that all the time. She gets so mad with me. Like, I can't even remember when last I was happy. But listen, I do have joy. I'm a very joyful person. And there's a difference between joy and happiness, right? Joy comes from eternity. Happy is like, buy me a new iPad, I'll be happy. That's just last until the new model of the iPad's out. Then I need something else to make me happy. I'm just trying to help you this morning, right? Just work with me. Joy comes from eternal stuff. We start seeing people saved in numbers. Bro, this church is going to be full of joy. We see the Holy Spirit poured out here at greater depths. This church is going to be full of joy. Stuff can make us happy. Eternity gives us joy. It's the joy of the Lord that will be your strength. Stop distracting me, Joel, please. It's your pants. Those pants are pretty distracting. I just want to tell you that. We're on mission. Yeah. Christ-centered, gospel-saturated church on mission together. We can't just stop on mission. We are together in this thing. All of us, every single one of us has a role to play in working out what God has asked of us. Will you allow me to show you what I can do through a church that truly loves broken people? That's the mission, and we're in it together. We're in it together. You doing okay? Let me tell you this. Loving broken people only works if Christ is the center. Loving broken people only works when we understand how much we are loved. It doesn't work. This is not something we can clench our jaw and I'm going to love broken people. It doesn't work like that, right? We will only truly love broken people when we truly have a revelation of how much we were loved. Now listen, you've got your own testimony. I'm happy for you. I can promise you this, and I've said it publicly and privately thousands of times in my life. When the Lord reached down from heaven and touched me, there was not a single redeemable quality about me. I'm absolutely convinced of that. In the depths of my soul, I'm convinced of that. I don't think there was one thing about me that God could have looked down and be like, maybe that thing I can work with. There was nothing redeemable about me. And in that place, God chose to pour out His love and His mercy and His grace. I wasn't looking for the Lord. I was a happy sinner. But God blessed me, drew me into His presence. I understand what it is to be loved in brokenness. I understand what it is to be loved through brokenness. I understand what a loving community, just that, what a loving community can mean to somebody that shows up here with any kind of hurt or brokenness. Are we doing okay this morning? We love people deeply when we understand how deeply we are loved. A Christ-centered, gospel-saturated church naturally moves towards lost, broken people. Let me say that again. A Christ-centered, gospel-saturated church naturally moves towards lost, hurt, broken people. The hurting, the forgotten, the marginalized, the messy, those on the outskirts of society, they have a place here. They have a place here. We don't get to choose the level of brokenness. We don't get to choose what the brokenness is. We don't. If God calls them here, we've got one task: to allow God to show us what He can do through us truly loving those people. Are you doing okay? The prophetic word is the heart, the mission statement is the how. Are you doing okay? I'm going to lean into a few things this morning. Like I said, we're just talking about a little bit about what has been, what this year was. And I want to say this, like for me, one of the things that, there's a lot about this church that I delight in. You know? I say this, and I would dare to say, there are a few pastors that can't say this. If I wasn't leading this church, this would be the church I would want to come to. I love this church. I love the community. I love what we're doing. I love what we're about. I love this church. If I wasn't leading it, I would show up here every Sunday. Cool people to hang out with, cool vibe. We're on mission together. We're serving Christ together. I love this church. I would show up here. It reminds me of that story where the mom woke her son up and said, "Son, you got to get up. It's church." And he said, "I don't want to go." And she said, "But you have to go. It's church. You got to wake up. It's time for church, boy." And he said, "Mom, I don't want to go." And she said again, the third time, she said, "Boy, you have to get up and go to church." And he said, "Mom, I really don't want to go to church this morning." She said, "You have to go, son. You're the pastor." That's not me. That's not me. I love this church. Are you doing okay? One of the things that delights me, this is where I was going with that. One of the things that delights me about this church is that this church has always punched above its weight. This church has always punched above its weight. We've never been a small church in thinking or in heart. We never have been. We're not a small church in heart or in thinking or in vision or in the way we make our decisions. We don't make small decisions in the life of this church. We punch above our weight. Now, that's a fighting expression. It's like you weigh 150 pounds, but you hit like a 200-pounder. It's punching above your weight. This church has always punched above its weight. It's never allowed any of those things to restrict what we do or how we do it. I had lunch with a pastor in town here. And we were just talking. It's the first time we met each other, and so we're talking, and so I just happened to say to him, you know, we've planted 4 churches. This guy leads a church of over 1,500 people. That's a big church. 1,500 people show up there every Sunday. And I said, we were just talking. I wasn't being boastful. I just said, you know, we've planted 4 churches. And he was shocked. He said, how? He said, how? He said, we can't afford to plant churches. How can you afford to plant churches? And I found, you know, sometimes when you, like, something comes out your mouth and you go, yeah, that's brilliant. And then you go, yes, but it's also true. And I never actually thought to articulate it like that. He said to me, how can you afford to plant churches? I said, I'm really not too sure. All I know is this. Excuse me. All I know is this. Every time somebody wants to go plant a church, we empty the bank account. See, we don't let that restrict us. We don't let that restrict us. We planted a church down south 2 years ago. I'm not saying this boastfully, but just so that we can understand what we're talking about. When we talk about we punch above our weight. That church plant, we released about 40 people and about $70,000. This church, 40 people, some of them were leaders, worship teams, serving leaders, 40 people, $70,000. We had been feeding that church, and on the day we were going to release Chris and Cheryl out of here, Andrew, who was doing the finances at that time, Andrew called me and said, "What do you want to write for Chris? What kind of check do you want to give Chris?" I said, "How much is it in the account?" He said, $40,000. I said, "Write the check." We don't think small. We don't risk small. We don't trust small. That's how we punch above our weight. Are you doing okay? We've always believed, man, we are not about raising money. We're about releasing resources. We're not about raising money. I don't. Listen, we are trusting God for a building, and at some point we're going to have, we do have a building fund. At some point we're going to have to be sitting with money in that building fund so we can go buy a building. But outside of that, I see no need for us to be sitting on piles of cash while there's ministry that remains undone, or kingdom places that remain to be reached, or stuff that needs to be done, or leaders that need to be sent, or leaders that need to be raised up. We're not about raising money. We're about releasing resources. I'm convinced of this, that generosity is not measured in dollar signs. Generosity is measured in people. How many people are reached? How many people are touched? As I said, we've planted 4 churches out of this church. We've helped, served, resources, trained, and supported many, many other churches. There was a time, not last year, not this year particularly, but there's been a time in the life of this church that we would have 2 or 3 worship teams out leading worship in other churches that were struggling for worship. We've sent teams to lead worship in churches for weeks on end with churches that don't partner with us, but it's kingdom. Because this is a church in Broomfield and they need help. We'll help them. They're not part of NCMI. They're not part of what we do, but they are part of what we do. And let's extend the kingdom. So we sent worship teams out there. We've given leaders away. We've given money away. We've given time away. For this simple truth, we believe that everything that comes to us in God is supposed to go through us in God. Not just, we don't want to be sitting on a pile of cash. We don't want to be sitting on a pile of resources, not in our heart. You doing okay? I just want to show you something real quick on our website. Is that ready to go, Jess? Just want to show you something real quick. See, they are there, and this is just going to help us. We're just talking through some of these things. There you go. So I want to just show you this real quick. On our website, we have 5 types of giving. Is that live, Jess? Yes, sir. Okay, we're getting there. There we go. So I want to show you this quickly. On our website, these are the funds that we have listed, right? These are the funds we have listed. And I'm just going to give you a quick overview of these things so you can understand. These 5 types of giving here, tithes, offering, alms, apostolic, general, we'll talk about above and beyond in a minute, but tithes, offering, alms, apostolic, and general are 5 types of giving that are listed in the New Testament, right? And each one of them has a purpose, and each one of them serves a purpose, right? Tithes, Jesus affirms tithes in Matthew 23:23. Tithes are about stewardship. It's about returning to God what is the Lord's, right? The tithe belongs to the Lord. And I'm going to tell you this, we govern that money like this. If you're saying when that money sits in your pocket, it belongs to the Lord, then when it arrives at Redemption City Church, it belongs to the Lord. And as elders, we govern it like that. It's not our money. It's still the Lord's money. And that's what I'm saying. Like for us to be releasing resources is easy. It was never ours in the first place. Are you doing okay? So tithes are for ministers and for ministry. It shows good stewardship. It supports the local church. Offerings, the Bible talks about offerings in Acts chapter 4. But offerings is more for things. Now, if we needed to buy more musical stuff or we needed to buy, that should come out of offerings, right? That's what it is. Tithes for people, for ministry, for ministers. Offerings should be about purchasing stuff, taking care of physical needs, right? And then we have alms. Now, alms is the biblical word for it. And if it's an unusual word, that's fine. It's just what the Bible calls it. And we do believe that if we use biblical language, we get biblical blessing. So we don't want to change things and make things fancy. We just want to stick with the Bible. Are you doing okay? So alms is basically for the poor. Yeah? Now I want to tell you a little story here real quick. We started really leaning into that in COVID. And we started a fund. We've still got the fund. It's just called alms on there because it's biblical language. But we have this thing that's called RCC Cares. We care. RCC Cares. And so during COVID, there was a guy in the life of this church. He got married and moved away. And this kid had a really good job, a really, really well-paying job. And during COVID, right at the beginning of COVID, he came to me and said, TK, I believe the Lord is leading me to give my whole next paycheck towards RCC Cares. And it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money, right? And that went to RCC Cares. And so during COVID, we were able to help people that became unemployed, underemployed. We helped a lot of single moms, right? So I'm just telling a story. We're not boasting here, right? I had my other son, when I was telling him about some of the stuff we were doing during COVID, and he said, Dad, that is absolutely amazing. He said, I got a letter from our church saying, you have to keep tithing, you have to keep giving, otherwise we're going to lose our building, we're going to lose this, we're going to lose that. You have to keep giving during COVID. Right? Now, I'm not saying this boastfully, I'm just telling you what the Lord did with us. Right? We sent exactly the opposite letter out. We sent a letter out saying, if you need anything, we've got money. Let us know, we can help. Isn't that beautiful? There was a single lady in this church, 2 kids. And listen, man, people are amazing. Single mom, she was an amazing single mom. She's married now, that's what I'm saying was. Single mom. And I called her and I said, do you need anything? And she said, no, we're good. I've paid the rent, I've paid that. So I said, but do you need anything? And she said, no, I think we're good. She always teases me. I call her my girl. I said, my girl, are you good? And she said, well, I've paid everything, but we're a bit light for groceries. I said, what are you talking about? She said, man, maybe $300. $300 would really help us. Came back to the elders. We sent her a check for $1,000. That's what makes this church special. That's what makes us unique. It's those kind of things. This is giving to the poor. It's giving to the vulnerable. We're starting a food pantry to help people like that. This is us reaching out. This is us being able to say to a single mom, you're safe here. You need something here. We will trust God with you. If it's within our ability, we'll just bless you with it. If it isn't within our ability, we'll trust God to bless us so that we can bless you. Are you doing okay? Apostolic giving is for kingdom expansion. Part of what we are part of, New Covenant Ministries International, we have churches all over the world. How many churches were in South Africa? 34 nations, did you say, Jolly? 30. At the Equip, 34 nations represented, churches all over the world. We get to be part of that. We don't have to be, we get to be. We get to be part of that. Right? And so part of our ability here is to go and strengthen and encourage other churches, to go and help them identify leaders, to train leaders. Like Dave was here a week or two ago to ordain Blaze and Alyss last week, right? Dave was here last week to ordain. That's what we get to do. That's what apostolic ministry is for. It's for church planting. It's for reaching the gospel beyond our borders. It's the gospel to all nations is what that is about. And then our general giving is that's at the discretion of the elders. And we see that in the book of Acts. They came and they laid their money at the apostles' feet and just said, you do with this to the best of your ability how you feel we can extend the kingdom of God with this finances. That's what they did, general giving. So there are 5 types of giving that are listed in the New Testament. They're on our website. I wanted to talk through those things with you because I don't know sometimes if we actually understand all of those things. And I'm sure you can go and then click on alms and be like, what the heck is that? Yeah? I think we do need a little bit more of an explanation on there. And like I said, man, we are not about raising money. We're about releasing resources. Every one of those funds has a purpose. If you give to every one of those funds, and I can promise you this now, if you give to that fund, that's what we use that money for. You will not give to alms and we use that money for something else. If you give to alms, if you're saying this money is for the poor, for people that are in need, poor is a horrible expression, but you know what I'm saying. This money is for people in need. That money will stay there until we have a need or we find a need or somebody comes and says, man, I lost my job, can you help? That's what that money is for. And we'll use it for that. We will honor these things. If you give to one of those funds, that's how it's used. Are you doing okay? As I said, we're not about raising money. We're about releasing resources. Money is never the goal. Money is never the goal. Honoring God is the goal. Honoring God is the goal. What we want to do with the money that God brings to us through you is honor God with it. That's the goal. Honor God. The mission of getting the gospel out to all nations is the goal. Reaching lost, hurt, broken people with the gospel is the goal. Money's never the goal. Money's never the goal. When God asked us this question, will you allow me to show you what I can do through a church that truly loves broken people? He wasn't talking about dollars and cents. He was talking about people and transformation. You doing okay? Now the last little, yes, you jumped the gun on me, brother. We do have it. Yeah, we don't have to put it back up. We've got this, we've put this card out. This was on every seat this morning, above and beyond. And it is listed there on our if you hit the select a fund, cryptocurrency. Jeez, where did that come from? Bro, that made me real nervous all of a sudden. Huh? Okay, above and beyond. Above and beyond. Listen, we felt as elders that God was stirring us. Like we said, man, I think 2000